The night was supposed to be mine. My birthday. After weeks of stress at work and months of saving, I thought I'd finally get a quiet evening with my wife, Claire. I imagined just the two of us in a candlelit corner of the expensive restaurant she insisted on booking. One of those places where the menu doesn't even bother putting prices next to the dishes. Because if you have to ask, you shouldn't be there. But when we walked in, my heart sank. Sitting at a long table, laughing and waving at us, were 20 people I didn't know half of. Friends of hers. Colleagues I'd never met. Even a couple of her cousins I hadn't seen in years. They were already ordering drinks before we'd even taken our seats. "Surprise!" she said, squeezing my hand, her eyes sparkling like she'd just handed me the greatest gift. I forced a smile, though inside I was already calculating. 20 people, cocktails flowing, steak and seafood on the menu. This bill would climb faster than a rocket, and I knew who she expected to foot it. As the night dragged on, I played the part. Smiling, nodding, pretending to enjoy the shallow conversations with strangers while the sound of glasses clinking became a hammer in my skull. They ordered bottles of wine I couldn't pronounce, triple-digit plates of food, desserts stacked like sculptures. Claire glowed at the center of it all, soaking in the attention, not once glancing at me. When the check finally landed on the table, it was a leather-bound envelope of doom. I peeked inside and nearly choked. A small fortune. My chest tightened. Before I could reach for my wallet, Claire slid it toward me with that casual expectation that had been gnawing at our marriage for years. "It's just 20 people," she said lightly, as if the number meant nothing, as if my sweat and long hours at work were limitless. That's when I smiled, pushed the envelope back to her, and stood. "Perfect," I said. "I'm going home. You handle the bills. I'm not your ATM." The table fell silent. You could hear the expensive wine slosh in someone's glass as the laughter choked out of the room. Claire's face flushed crimson, caught between fury and humiliation. I walked out, leaving the smell of roasted lamb and truffle oil behind me, my footsteps echoing in the marble lobby. At home, I poured myself a cheap glass of whiskey and sat in the dark. My phone buzzed with her angry texts, then her furious calls. I ignored them. I should have been brokenhearted. Instead, a strange calm filled me. But what happened next cut deeper than any bill ever could. The next morning, I found her phone still buzzing on the counter where she must have dropped it when she stormed in. Normally I wouldn't snoop, but something about her reaction the night before, it wasn't embarrassment about the money. It was fear, as if she was terrified not that I left, but that someone else at that table had seen me leave. And that's when I saw the messages. A string of them from one of the very men at dinner. His name was Mark. He'd been sitting close to her all night, leaning in, whispering things I pretended not to notice. The messages confirmed it. Can't believe he actually walked out. Guess that means more time for us. You looked incredible tonight. I wish we didn't have to hide. Next weekend, same hotel? My hands shook as I scrolled further. Photos. Private. Intimate photos I could never erase from my mind. She hadn't just invited 20 people to celebrate me. She'd orchestrated the whole event to disguise something else. He was there, in front of me, laughing, drinking, eating my birthday dinner while my wife sat by his side. The truth hit harder than any argument or betrayal before. She hadn't just used me for money. She was using me as cover, funding dinners where she could parade her secret lover in plain sight, confident I'd never question her. The expensive restaurant, the 20 guests, the laughter, it was never about me. It was about them. For days, I carried that wound in silence, watching her pretend nothing had happened. She'd smile, kiss my cheek, and talk about work, all while her phone buzzed with more messages she thought I'd never see. The weight of betrayal settled like lead in my chest, and the man I had been, the provider, the husband, the fool, began to crumble. One night, I confronted her. I placed her phone on the table, opened to the incriminating thread. Her face drained of color, her lips trembling as she searched for words that never came. I walked out because I wouldn't be her ATM. I said, my voice shaking but steady. But now I see I was never your husband either. Just your cover. Her tears came quickly, the usual rehearsed apologies, the desperate promises, the manipulative pleas. But my heart was already gone. That birthday dinner had been the turning point, the mask slipping off the life I thought we had. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I just stood, grabbed my jacket, and walked out again, this time not just from the restaurant, but from the marriage. And as I closed the door behind me, I realized something. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come in one sharp stab, but in a slow bleed, hidden under the weight of expectation and habit. Mine had been bleeding for years, and that night at the restaurant was simply the moment I finally noticed the wound. And once you see it, you can never unsee it.